And business news continues. Concerns over tariffs and the impact on global trade are making headlines in the last few weeks since Donald Trump was re-elected as U.S. president. It was certainly top of mind at the World Investment Conference in Riyadh. CNA's Olivia Marzuki spoke with WIC's chair of the executive board, James Zhan. He weighed in on the future of global trade and investment.
If we envisage the second round of the trade wars, the escalation is not only to China, but to the neighboring countries of the United States, and even to others, like in ASEAN countries like Vietnam, that in order to reduce the trade deficit, that will create a second round of restructuring of global supply chains. What we will see is kind of a further diversification, I would see, further diversification of international production system, further fragmentation, wider spread. And eventually, that international production system will back to the future. What do I mean by back to the future? If you look at the 90s, the late 80s and 90s, there were three centrics of international production system. One is US-centric, North American international production system. One is EU-centric production system, and there's Japan-centric production system. That will be back, but the Asian-centric ones will be China to somewhat Korea and Japan-centric production system. So the triad production systems in the 90s will be back in a couple of years' time. That's the reshaping of international production system, and it'll be further fragmented.
Dr. Zhan, more often than not, we've seen tit-for-tat tariffs escalating into full-fledged trade wars. Mexican President Claudia Pardo has warned Trump of economic risks and hinted at retaliation. China also said there's no winner in a trade war. Do you share the same sentiment? Are there such thing as winner in a trade war? If so, who are they?
In terms of the trade, it is bad. It's a lose-lose game. I'm an expert in investment. So from the investment perspective, I would say trade wars makes investment more dynamic and efficient-seeking FDI, export-oriented FDI, more mobile. That creates the dynamics. That is a driver for somewhat global investment recovery. So that's why investment recovery is multiple drivers. One of them is the trade wars, unfortunately, but that's what is going to happen. So the recovery will be fragile, will be modest, but this recovery will also be dynamic, and this recovery will be structural transformation driven by the technology disruptiveness, sustainability imperatives, and trade wars. So it is less of productive capacity expansion driven because there's still a kind of excess capacity at aggregate level.